rescuing someone from a car fire for real, publicly shaming Elizabeth Taylor, and an on-set dog who can't stop biting people? Stay tuned to find out the untold truth of NCIS's Mark Harmon. Mark Harmon was a talented athlete back in the day. A native of California, the actor was a quarterback at UCLA for 2 seasons and led the Bruins to a 17-5 record during his time there. Football runs in Harmon's blood. His father, Tom Harmon, was also a gifted college player, having scored 33 touchdowns for the University of Michigan. He used to love watching clips of his dad in action when he was growing up, telling Parade, "I was literally like 8 before I realized my dad ever got tackled because on the reel he scores every time he gets the ball." Tom Harmon later became a football broadcaster, which furthered his son's love for the game. Though he wouldn't start acting until after college, Harmon's time as a football star led to an early brush with Hollywood royalty. In 1973, he won a National Football Foundation Award. That same year, John Wayne was in attendance at the ceremony to accept the Gold Medal Award. As Harmon told Stephen Colbert, it was an unforgettable night for several reasons. Unaware that it was a tux-only event, Harmon walked into a clothes store at the last minute and purchased a dove gray tuxedo with a frilly undershirt. Surprised by his bold outfit choice, Wayne decided to give him a nickname.
All night, he called me Rebel.
Why?
Because I had a gray tuxedo on.
He thought you were some damn hippie.
Mark Harmon ultimately decided to pursue a career as an actor thanks to an unexpected family connection. After his sister Kristen married the musician and actor Ricky Nelson, Harmon began hanging out with her parents-in-law, who happened to be the famous TV duo Ozzie and Harriet Nelson. Ricky had starred with his parents in the sitcom The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet in the 1950s and 1960s. Harmon became close with Ricky's father as well, and he recalled how Ozzie joined him at the beach one summer when he was working as a lifeguard. At the time, Ozzie was filming a spin-off of Ozzie and Harriet called Ozzie's Girls. One day, Ozzie asked Harmon to fill in for an actor who couldn't make it, and he agreed. He spent his time on set following Ozzie around and watching him work in the editing room. After that experience, all he could think about was acting. He forgot about football and began taking acting classes. Before long, he was landing small roles in television and movies. His big break came in 1983 when he was cast in the hospital drama Saint Elsewhere. Leroy Jethro Gibbs may not be the sexiest fictional agent ever created, but there was a time when Mark Harmon was considered a major hunk. Much to his embarrassment, he was named People magazine's Sexiest Man Alive in 1986. In 2015, he told People that he didn't think much of the title, though he found out he had it in a rather unconventional way. The actor had recently done an interview with People about leaving Saint Elsewhere, but he had no idea the mag was about to bestow the title of Sexiest Man Alive upon him. He went to play basketball with his friends one evening and found that both backboards had been covered with copies of the cover. His friends certainly found it funny, and so did Harmon. The actor poked fun at the whole episode when he hosted Saturday Night Live in 1987, delivering his opening monologue in nothing but a bath towel and joking about a conversation he had with Lorne Michaels about his wardrobe.
And I said, "The costume is degrading." He said, "Look, Mark, tomorrow's Mother's Day, and that's something for them."
Though Mark Harmon may be the most famous person in his family, his wife had a successful career of her own before she met her husband. Harmon's wife, Pam Dauber, is a retired actor best known for playing Mindy in the popular sitcom Mork and Mindy. She also played the lead character in the 1986 sitcom My Sister Sam. According to People, the pair met at a party thrown by a mutual friend, and they tried to keep their relationship out of the public eye, at least at first, with Dauber saying at the time, "We're not trying to keep something secret, but if you don't want it totally exploited by the press, you have to." Harmon and Dauber made it official in 1987 and have 2 sons together. Though Dauber is mostly retired, she did return to the small screen for a stint in 2021 when she joined her husband for 4 episodes of NCIS. Dauber told Entertainment Weekly that she had been asked to do the show several times before, but only said yes when she was offered the role of a journalist named Marcy. She only had one stipulation, telling the producers, "If this is a romantic interest, I'm not interested." Though Mark Harmon comes off as a devoted family man, he's had his fair share of family drama over the years. His sister Kristen is most well known for marrying Rick Nelson and being the mother of the Nelson brothers. Kristen and Rick had something of a tumultuous relationship, and they were both drug users for many years. Kristen filed for divorce from Rick in 1980 and received custody of her 4 kids, including her youngest, Sam, who was born in 1974. Kristen continued to use drugs after the divorce, and Sam would often stay with relatives, eventually moving in with Mark Harmon and his wife. Rick Nelson died in a plane crash in 1985, and around this time Kristen's drug use worsened. Mark convinced her to enter rehab, and when she came home in 1987, she found that Mark was suing for custody of Sam, who was 12 years old at the time. A judge temporarily granted Mark's request, as well as a restraining order against Sam's mother. What followed was a family feud of sorts, which eventually ended with Kristen regaining custody of Sam and Mark receiving visitation rights. Though you probably haven't seen Mark Harmon in a movie for many years, there was a time when blockbuster films were part of his career path. One such film is 1987's Summer School, where Harmon plays a gym teacher forced to teach summer school in order to keep his tenure. Harmon spends much of the movie wearing Hawaiian shirts, talking about surfing, and trying to woo fellow teacher Kirstie Alley.
Very cute.
Thanks. So are you. Oh, you meant,
While not a rousing success, it did well enough at the box office and certainly didn't hurt Harmon's career. The most impressive thing about Summer School is that it was directed by comedy legend Carl Reiner, who was convinced that Harmon would be perfect for the role, but the actor wasn't so sure and tried to turn it down. He told the Daily Beast that he tried to get Reiner to cast Tom Hanks instead and explained his reasoning for turning down the role, saying, "I'm not funny." Harmon shared the screen with several big stars before he became one himself. In 1989, he starred alongside Elizabeth Taylor in the TV movie Sweet Bird of Youth, and it was quite the experience. Speaking to Stephen Colbert, Harmon revealed that Taylor had it in her contract that she would only work for 8 hours a day. She had an assistant with her that would keep track of the time, and when her time was up, Taylor would promptly leave the set. One day, Taylor had been working 2 hours longer than her allotted 8 hours, and she made sure everyone on the set knew it. Harmon, exasperated by all the scheduling difficulties, said, "Hey Elizabeth, all I got to say is welcome to the f***ing club." Taylor glared at him when he made the comment, but after that day, she gave up her 8-hour clause and stayed on set for as long as everyone else. Then, during the wrap party, which Taylor hosted at her own home, the Hollywood icon gave everyone who attended the party gifts, but she had something extra special for Harmon, a solid gold watch with a personal message.
And on the back, you flip it over, it says, MH, 2 hours, Tik-Tok, love you too.
While Mark Harmon was in a few movies in the 1980s, he has spent much of his career working on various television shows. While working in television is a well-regarded job for an actor today, that wasn't always the case. Despite the draw of movie stardom, Harmon made a decision not to travel the world shooting in exotic locations for one simple reason: his family. After his children were born, he realized being with his family was more important to him than any job, so he made a decision to work closer to home. He told CBS News the story of when he went to shoot a movie in New Guinea, and he nearly missed watching his son learn how to walk. When he arrived at the airport and saw his young son walking on his own, he told his wife, "Hate to tell you, but I'm not going to be doing new movies in New Guinea for the rest of my life to be able to afford the house we're in and miss all this." Leroy Jethro Gibbs is known for being a pretty heroic guy, but can we say the same for Mark Harmon? Apparently, we can. Harmon had a real-life brush with danger in 1996 when he staged a life-saving rescue right outside his front door. One evening, 2 teenage boys were driving down his street when their car crashed and caught fire. The driver was able to free himself, but the passenger, Colin Specht, remained trapped inside. Luckily for Specht, Harmon saw what was happening and appeared with a sledgehammer, breaking the window and pulling the 16-year-old to safety. Specht told CBS years later, "I owe everything to him." Specht suffered third-degree burns and was in the hospital for a long time following the accident, only learning later from his parents that he had been rescued by Mark Harmon. Speaking about the incident in 2013, the actor was incredibly humble and downplayed his actions. But according to Specht, however, Harmon is a true hero, saying, "There's no way I can repay him except for pay it forward, and I try to do that in my life." Though Mark Harmon's run on The West Wing as Simon Donovan didn't last long, he apparently made quite the impact on set. Harmon told the Chicago Tribune that he jumped at the chance to be on the show, heading to set the first day just hours after receiving his very first script. Speaking about the challenging but rewarding experience of filming the series, he said, "This train called The West Wing is moving fast and you're expected to keep up." The cast of The West Wing enjoyed his time on set just as much as he did, according to creator Aaron Sorkin. Harmon's character was only on the show for 4 episodes, and his arc ends when he is shot in a bodega robbery at the end of Season 3, upsetting his fans on set. Sorkin told The Hollywood Reporter that Donovan's death was an example of something random happening for no reason, suggesting that Harmon's character was literally born to die. Sorkin recalled that some of the female members of the crew were especially upset with his decision to kill off Donovan, making sure to let him know that the special effects devices used to simulate being shot, known as squibs, were placed in such a way that he could potentially survive the shooting. When speaking of Harmon's supporters on set, Sorkin said, "They let me know if I didn't want my tires slashed, he'd survive." Mark Harmon may not seem like a jokester kind of guy, but that hasn't stopped him from picking up a few playful nicknames over the years. Queen Latifah brought up some of these nicknames when she had Harmon on her show, and Harmon attempted to explain the origins of a few of them. He told Latifah that he was referred to simply as the quarterback while playing football for UCLA because his dad was the announcer and he wanted to avoid sounding biased. Latifah also reminded Harmon that he has been called a silver fox more than once, which he had no response to. When asked about the nickname Papa Smurf, he blamed his NCIS castmate Sean Murray, though he has no idea where Murray got the name from.
If he's on here with you, he'll tell you about that. I don't know what it means. I don't know why he did it, but he did it, and it obviously made the Google list.
When prompted about the two nicknames on center stage with Michael Kay, Harmon admitted he's not a huge fan of either one. When Kay asked Harmon what his wife calls him, Harmon responded, "None of your business." Mark Harmon and his wife Pam Dauber have two sons together, Sean and Ty. His son Sean has followed in both his parents' footsteps, having become an actor as well as a stunt coordinator. So when NCIS producers were looking for someone to portray a younger version of Gibbs, they were in luck. Rather than casting an unknown actor with a passing resemblance to Harmon, why not cast his actual son? That's exactly what happened in 2008 when the first flashback episode featuring a young Gibbs aired. Sean Harmon would play a young Gibbs in a total of 7 episodes over the course of the series. Mark Harmon told Entertainment Tonight that he's proud of the work Sean does as an actor, and that he's proud of both his sons for being hard workers. Interestingly enough, Sean Harmon was actually featured in another part of the NCIS universe, though not as anyone in the Gibbs family. He returned to the franchise in 2015, starring in an episode of NCIS Los Angeles. It's no surprise that a series that's run for 19 seasons and counting would have its fair share of on-set drama. Some of that drama revolved around Mark Harmon and his co-star Pauley Perrette, whose real-life relationship was far from the loving one depicted on screen. Perrette left the series after season 15, and at least initially, the reason for her departure was unknown. After rumors surrounding her departure began to crop up online, Perrette took to Twitter to explain her side of the story in 2018. Via several tweets, Perrette explained that she had remained silent up to that point in an effort to protect her colleagues and added that a, quote, very rich, very powerful publicity machine had been pressuring her into silence. According to the Rap, Perrette's claims revolved around NCIS star Mark Harmon and his dog. As the story goes, Harmon and Perrette got along fine until an incident in 2016 when Harmon brought his dog to set. His dog apparently bit a crew member who then required 15 stitches. Harmon continued to bring his dog to work following the incident, which upset Perrette and other members of the crew, according to reports. Perrette then took the issue to CBS management, who made the decision to prevent Harmon from bringing his dog to set from then on. This created such a huge rift between the two that after these events, Perrette and Harmon refused to film any scenes together, according to an insider. Fans of the wildly successful procedural NCIS were shocked when it was announced that Mark Harmon and his character Leroy Jethro Gibbs would be leaving the show.
I'm not going back, Dan.
To work?
Well, that too. I'm not going back home.
Harmon signed on for only a limited number of episodes in season 19, with his character intending to leave his job at NCIS in order to start a new life in Alaska. Gary Cole then went on to replace Harmon as the lead actor on the show. But just because Harmon has left the show for now doesn't necessarily mean we'll never hear from Gibbs again. Executive producer Stephen D. Binder told fans not to despair, reassuring viewers with hints that Gibbs may not be done. Harmon remains an executive producer on the series, so he hasn't left the show entirely behind. Sean Murray, who plays McGee, says Harmon still comes to set often. Regarding Harmon's continued presence behind the scenes, Murray told Parade, "I really truly believe that the Gibbs could pop up somewhere. I really believe that there's a possibility of that happening." None of this is confirmation one way or the other, but it's clear that Harmon remains an important part of the NCIS family, whether he ever returns as Gibbs or not. Though Harmon has been working steadily as an actor for over 40 years, he has a pretty good idea of what he would be doing now if Hollywood hadn't worked out for him. When Men's Journal asked him what he would do if acting weren't an option, he was quick to answer, saying, "I'd be a carpenter. I tried to do that, but I just couldn't get hired." Like his character Gibbs, who builds boats in his free time, Harmon says he still enjoys carpentry, but he doesn't have much time to do it anymore. When working as a carpenter didn't pan out for Harmon, he went on to work at an ad firm, where he stayed for about 4 years. It was during this time that he got a promotion at a sales rep company, meaning he was essentially a shoe salesman for a few months. He recalled the moment he made the decision to switch to acting full-time. On the flight home after a work trip in Boston, he was sitting next to a 33-year-old man who was telling him about how he was trying to make pension by 65, meaning he would have to remain at his job for another 3 decades. As Harmon recalled, he was drinking his second martini by the time we were wheels up. He was miserable in his job, and he was trying to maintain the job for another 32 years. I went home, got in my car, drove out to the place where I worked, and gave my notice.